This is Jaipur Literature Festival. I'm Abir Lahiri for ABP Live Podcast. Joining me today in conversation is Koel Puri. How are you?
I am thrilled to be here and very happy to be talking to you.
Okay. You are part of a session called The First Novel. I really want to know what is the process of writing the first novel.
But first, can we just take a minute
Yeah.
to say, I'm on a panel, first novel, so I'm like, okay, it'll all be debut writers, of course I'm the best, la 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 la. And I'm on a panel with Bernie Gamas, who wrote Lessons in Chemistry, only having a fangirl moment here.
Wow.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Okay.
Right, now please
Yeah,
ask your
how is the
question.
process? How is the process like? Because it's difficult for a lot of people to start writing the first novel. It is very nostalgic. It's very emotional because a lot of people dream of writing the first novel or first book. How has been the process for you?
I think I've been a storyteller my whole life.
Right.
From my earliest memories have all been about retelling incidents that happen with a lot of exaggeration and embellishment so that it would be a good story, right? So I've been that person always. I've written for television and screen for a very long time and for short format for a very long
Right.
time. But when I sat down to write this, initially I wasn't sure it was going to be a book.
Okay.
But then it had the medium, the story in fact dictates the medium. And it had to be a book because I wanted to get into the thoughts and the psyche of the characters. And something magical happens, all authors talk about this, that once you kind of know your characters, and I'm not, there are many kinds of writers.
Agreed.
I am not the writer who outlines and fleshes everything out. I have a vague idea of where I'm going. I have a very clear idea of who my characters are.
Okay.
And once I have that in place and I set them in a situation, they dictate everything. They take on a life of their own. And it's when people used to say this, or when I used to hear authors say this before, I was like, yeah, really?
Yeah.
It kind of writes itself, But it does. The book, the character, you write something, you impose something, you put them in a situation. Let's say you put them in an interview situation. I have 4 women protagonists. And suddenly I write something, and the next day when I reread it, I was like, please, this character is never going to behave or talk like this. She's a Gen Z character. She does this. This is rubbish. This is you writing, superposing on top of the character. So I remove it and I write from the character's point of view because she writes.
It's more like a trance?
It is. It literally is. It's my ikigai, let's put it that way.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Nice word actually to use here. True. So cool. Since we talk about books, what is your advice? Since we are talking about the novel, the first novel. What is your advice to all those people who always dreamt of writing a novel but didn't get the courage or maybe the ink to jot down on a particular novel?
I only have one piece of advice. Write it. Because a written novel is 10 times, a terribly written novel is 10 times or 1 million times better than the most amazing masterpiece unwritten.
True.
Just write it.
Since you're here and we are having this conversation, I should definitely talk about theatre. You have done extensively done theatre. What is the art? Do you think that firstly, do you think the art form is not getting its due credit, which was the case maybe 20, 25 years back?
It depends on which country you're talking about. I don't
we don't
think
from the Indian-
theatre in India has ever got its due credit. Regional theatre, yes, has and continues to have.
True.
Right? But Hindi theatre also to a certain extent, theatre in English has always been niche, has always been considered amateur. It's never got its due.
True.
And yet theatre is the most immediate of the art forms. You live or die right there as an artist.
Right.
It is so fulfilling because especially as a writer and as an actor, your success is determined in that minute. You fly or sink right then and there.
Right.
So for me, I live for theatre. I literally live for theatre. The beauty, or sometimes it's torturous because you still have to get through those 2 hours and you know it's not working. And it could be the same play, but because, and this is a discovery I really made during writing my book, as artists, whether you're a painter, a writer, or even a podcaster, what you present is only half the. You do your work, you present it, but how it's received completes the picture. and no two people will receive it in the same,
Same way.
The same piece.
Every day is a new day, every environment is a new environment. Every other person who's watching you may have a different lens to watch at the art.
Absolutely, and that completes the picture, and it can be magical or devastating.
True. How has been the experience approaching both, like the magical and the
The
devastating?
magical, I mean, you don't need words for that. You're
Yeah.
literally flying,
Yeah,
right? You
true.
think you're the king of the world. I got
Intoxicated
this.
with the claps and applauses.
Standing ovation, I could live for like who couldn't, right? Like
True.
if I could just have one wish, I want standing ovation every day before I start work. You know, like, and then there is when when your words are just going into a black hole, right? And it usually happens pretty much when you're flying high, and I think it's the universe's way of saying, "Come back to earth. You thought you were amazing. Come back, come back."
But since you mentioned this, humbleness, what else give you humbleness?
I think to be a creator, you have to be humble because you have to be an observer. And to be an observer, you have to be outside of your own self. You know? How do you observe people if you're just thinking about you and getting rid of your ego? And I think without that kind of humility, you can't create. At least I believe that. You know, you can't create from a place of ego.
What do you associate with the most? As a stage actress, as a cinema actress, or as a writer? May be a difficult question because बहुत सारी चीजें हैं.
बहुत सारी चीजें
And also a talk show host.
also
Also a talk show host.
I think what writing they do different things for
Agreed.
me. So what writing does for me, it calms the chaos in my head, right? It literally, like I say, it's my ikigai. It gives me that in the middle of craziness in my household with a child, with this, with that, I can write. I just zone in. I can do that. It's my zen. So it gives me that. It gives me the calm. And acting gives me the outlet for my madness. So the chaos, it's all about taming the chaos basically in my life. So the writing gives me a focus and the acting gives me an outlet. As far as the medium is concerned, there is nothing as big as the screen. That is for posterity. It lasts and lasts, and you know it'll be forever and ever whatever you do on screen. So I love that. But the immediacy of theatre, you can't beat that.
True.
So sorry, but all of them.
Yeah. But I guess a creative person is always a creative. The mediums are just a vent, and if you have the creativity, the creative fluids inside you, I guess that will flow and take any particular.
It doesn't
part.
always flow. Okay,
It doesn't- you have to make it flow.
Let's be clear about this. It's not,
Okay.
you're not always inspired.
True, which is
Okay.
false. On that note, बहुत shukriya for talking to us, and it was great to have this conversation with you. All the best for your sessions,
Thank
and
you.
all the best for the book.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
very much.
much.